I used to love orange juice. Every morning as a kid, I'd pour a tall glass. It was my favorite way to start the day before I ever discovered coffee as an adult. And that all changed when I was 16 years old. And please don't judge me here. It was the first time I ever drank and got drunk. Jameson and orange juice, which was a high class combo. It ended the way that those nights often end, on the bathroom floor, head spinning and bargaining with the universe, mumbling things like, "Oh, I'm never drinking again." But here's the part that stuck. For years after that one night, just the smell of orange juice made me gag. It didn't matter if there was whiskey in it or not. Didn't matter that I was sitting at a breakfast table years later, sober, eating eggs with my family. My brain tagged orange juice as danger, and it didn't let me forget that. That is called conditioning, and pain works in the same way, especially if pain has been around for a lot longer than just a few months. Your body might still be capable, but your brain disagrees. It starts flagging simple movements like bending, reaching, or twisting as dangerous. And over time, pain becomes the new normal. Not because there's something broken, but because your nervous system got conditioned to produce pain. And if we look at how the nervous system functions, it makes sense. Your brain learns through repetition. It's a pattern recognition machine, which means it's constantly scanning for cues and assigning meaning. And pain is no different. It's a pattern your body learns. You bend and it hurts. You bend again and it hurts again. How long do you think it takes before your system says, bending equals danger? Let's just not bend anymore. Must be bad for us. You know exactly what I mean. You've got movements you avoid without even thinking about it. Maybe it's a stretch you skip, a way you shift when you sit, a habit that your body created to protect you. That's pattern recognition. And pain is the story those patterns tell, just like mine did with orange juice. There was nothing wrong with orange juice by itself, but because my brain had paired it with what felt like a near-death drinking experience to protect me from ingesting that toxin again, it flagged orange juice as the bad guy. And that pairing was automatic. Orange juice equaled danger. I gagged every single time I smelled it. And in the same way, your brain can pair movement and pain. The feeling of pain becomes a signal. The signal becomes a story. And that story keeps playing even long after the danger is gone. And that's where we start today. Because if there's one thing I've learned working with people, every body has a mind, and every mind has a body, which means these two things are in constant conversation. And when that conversation's clear, you move freely. You feel safe. You're great. You're probably not listening to a podcast about pain like you are right now. But when your brain and body stop trusting each other, it's almost like texting an ex who always misreads your tone. Every signal turns into a fight, even when you're trying to keep the peace. You're being calm and they hear criticism. You're trying to connect and they brace for conflict. Every movement becomes tension. Every stretch becomes a misunderstanding. And it's like texting, "Hey, I hope you're well," and your ex reading it as, "I hate you." That's what a dysregulated nervous system does with sensation. Even your clearest, kindest intentions, gentle movement, deep breathing, softness, can trigger a flare. Not because you did something wrong, but because the wires are crossed. And that's miscommunication. And when you're living with chronic pain, there's a good chance that's exactly what's happening inside of you over and over and over again. Today, in this episode, we're here to improve that conversation, not by fixing the body, not by fighting the pain internally, but by helping the nervous system actually unlearn its panic. And to show you what I mean, let me paint a picture. Two different people doing the exact same hamstring stretch. Same position, same movement, same nerves firing the same information. But for one of these people, the brain says, "Oh, yeah, that's a great stretch. This signal feels really safe. Nerves, you can relax and release. We trust this movement." Meanwhile, person number two, that second person, does the same stretch, but their nervous system's holding a different history. Maybe they tore their hamstring years ago. Or maybe they didn't, but their body's been stiff for so long, the stretch feels completely foreign. Their brain doesn't interpret it as a gentle pull, it flags it as a threat. And that sets off a full body alarm. Their breath suspends and catches, their heart rate spikes, stress hormones flood and dump into their bloodstream, muscles clamp down like they're bracing for impact, and maybe they even psychologically flash back to that injury or the fear of losing function. Maybe it's a scary feeling, and a wave of frustration hits, or anger, or shame, all of that from a stretch signal. And that's not weakness. That is a disproportionate response. A simple stretch triggered a full body alarm because the system read it as danger, not movement. This is half of the battle with chronic pain. The nervous system isn't reacting to what is, it's reacting to what it fears. Not because the body's broken, but because the nervous system can't tell the difference between discomfort and danger. And that is the mismatch. That's the misfire. And if you're in chronic pain, you felt it. Doing something good for yourself only to be punished by your own body's reaction. The signal isn't matching the stimulus. And that is the core of what we're here to start unwinding in today's episode. Same signal, two totally different experiences, two totally different outcomes. That's your brain running the show. And that's why so many of the things that should help don't. Not because they're wrong or bad, but because your system is stuck reacting as if everything is a threat. You're not just feeling pain, you're feeling a nervous system in overdrive, responding to echoes from the past with alarms typically reserved for emergencies. So what do we do with that? Well, we teach your body something new. Not through force, not through just ignoring or pushing through the pain, but with science and strategy. This episode is your first rep with me of disrupting that pattern. I'm going to walk you through a simple yet powerful practice that you can use anywhere, anytime your system starts to spiral. It's called somatic tracking, which is a way to observe sensation without bracing against it and teaching your nervous system that a feeling is not a fire. Again, not by pushing through, not by ignoring it, but by choosing to respond differently. So your brain can finally start rewriting this story. This is not a shortcut today. This is the path. All right, let's get into it. So first, big question, what is somatic tracking? Why does it work? And how do you use it? To start, somatic tracking is a fancy name for something simple. Paying calm, curious attention to your body's sensations, like pain, tightness, or tension, without panicking or trying to fix them. It's not a hack, it's a skill. And it works because your nervous system is always listening to your inner dialogue. Now, here's the thing. Pain isn't just a signal from the body. Your brain is the one deciding how loud that signal gets. And it makes that call based on context, on threat, fear, stress, emotion, memory, and even mood. Ever notice how a headache shows up on a day that you're late or overstimulated or underslept? Or maybe how pain spikes when you're in an airport, stuck in line, overstimulated, trying to keep it together? That's your nervous system turning up the dial of sensitivity, not because of actual present damage, but because it feels overwhelmed. And I always like to use the analogy of hearing aids for people to better understand this. Imagine you're wearing hearing aids and you're involved in a quiet conversation at a library, but your hearing aids are acting up and they're amplifying the volume. Instead of your hearing aids being at a normal 2 out of 10 volume, they're dysfunctioning and they're now at a 9 out of 10 volume. Same conversation, but it's being significantly amplified to uncomfortable levels because of the hearing aid is not regulating itself. That's one way to easily frame nervous system dysregulation. So even a gentle sensation like a mild pull in your back can become a loud alarm when your brain is on high alert. Boom, flare up, mid-flight, on vacation, walking on the beach, it doesn't matter. And I used to think that this was just me, like my body was broken in a way that no one could explain. But the science is now clear. This is not just a personal glitch within me. Pain researchers like Lorimer Moseley, who's one of the world's leading voices in modern pain science, has shown that chronic pain isn't just about injury or damage. And Moseley's work, just for a side note, he's a professor of clinical neurosciences in Australia and has helped shift the entire medical conversation around pain. We used to think pain was a straightforward signal. Damage in the body, pain in the brain. But now we know better. Pain is a complex experience shaped by the brain, the body, your emotions, your memories, and your overall sense of safety. And when your nervous system feels threatened, even without an active injury, it can produce very real pain. His body of work, accompanied by dozens of neuroscientists, show that your brain can produce any symptom anywhere in the body, short or long term, and your nervous system can also amplify sensations when it feels threatened. But here's the flip side. When you feel safe and relaxed, your brain can turn down that volume. Those hearing aids, you can actually turn those down. Somatic tracking helps you do that. So instead of fighting, wincing, and resisting pain, it's meeting it internally with a, hey, I hear you. You're not in trouble. You're safe right now. You are allowed to feel this. Just because you feel something is loud doesn't mean it's dangerous. We don't have to run. We can stay and breathe and be okay. It's not about ignoring the pain. It's not about pretending that it's not there. It's about meeting it differently. So the story your brain tells starts to change and actually work for you instead of against you. So, for example, to make this real, let's say your lower back aches. The moment you notice that ache, your body probably tenses, your breath shortens, and your mind starts to spiral. Oh no, not again. That reaction reinforces the pattern. It tells your brain, yep, that signal, that sensation is dangerous. So what does the brain do? It dials up the pain. It amplifies whatever signal's coming from your body to protect you even further. With somatic tracking, you interrupt that cycle. You notice the ache, you breathe into it, and you observe it. You watch it without judgment, without control, without expectation. Not so we can chase it away, but to show your brain this sensation can exist without emergency. This is how we start unlearning pain in the brain, by changing our response to it, not changing the signal coming from the body. I'm going to give you 3 different somatic tracking techniques that you can use to relax pain. But before we jump in, let's set this up right. These are not quick fixes. They take practice. When you tune into pain on purpose, especially if you're expecting it to vanish right away, your brain might go, whoa, the pressure's on. I feel a lot of pressure to get rid of this pain signal right now. And that expectation can actually crank up the pain signal and amplify it, like we kind of talked about earlier, making it louder. It's almost as if your brain is saying threat alert instead of actually just chilling out. So the trick before I give you this technique is do what I'm about to teach you lightly, with curiosity, like you're exploring this technique, not demanding your body of something. And over time, with practice and patience, your brain learns that it's safe to relax, and that pain response softens. So let me give you a real example. Think about checking in with a friend. Just a quick, hey, how are you? If you are relaxed and you're not feeling any pressure, it's probably a really nice moment. You connect, you share, maybe even you have a couple laughs. It's relaxed. But now imagine you're checking in because you're in a fight. Your entire experience is different. There's a lot of pressure. You're nervous. You want things to be okay, and you need it to go well. And suddenly that same question, hey, how are you, is loaded because you're listening for tone. You're reading in between the lines. Every word feels heavier. It's the same question and interaction on the surface, but your expectation and desired outcomes change the entire experience. That is what can happen when we tune into our bodies with pressure. We bring that, please, let's fix this energy, and our system tenses up before we even begin and do the damn thing. So that's why the mindset here before we do any of these techniques matters. Curiosity over control. Let's see what this is, not this better work for me. Now, as mentioned, I've got 3 techniques, and what I want you to do is grab a comfy spot, and we'll try them together. Sitting upright or laying on your back with your legs over a couch or chair, or maybe just completely flat out on a bed or the floor, whatever suits you. We are going to start off with our first technique. It's called Notice, Name, and Note. This one's all about tuning into your body like a calm observer with no pressure, no rush, and no expectation. Here's how it works. I'm going to bring your attention to a sensation. You're going to notice that sensation. You're going to name it with a word, and then note it. Let what you notice pass by without having to jump in and get involved. It's a really common and popular tool for meditation. Observe, label, and let go. The goal isn't to chase the pain away. It's to watch it without getting caught up in it. So picture this. You're sitting on the bank of a very slow-moving river. Your sensations, pain, tightness, throbbing, whatever it is, these sensations are like leaves floating on this water. You see a leaf drift by, a sensation drift by. That's you noticing it. Maybe it's sharp, so you name it, sharp. And then you note it. You watch it just float past you. You don't yell, there it is, and dive right in, splashing around, getting all wet, trying to grab it furiously. You stay chill, sitting there, letting what you're looking at float by. That's the vibe. It's calm, it's cool, and it's unbothered. Over time, this tells your brain, no threat here with that sensation. And therefore, the pain signal can start to relax. Let's try it together. Hopefully you're in that comfy spot. Again, sitting or lying down, whatever works. First thing I want you to do is soften your gaze. Let's take a really slow breath in through your nose and a long, slow exhale out through your mouth. Keeping our eyes just softly focused, I want you to notice just the room that you're in right now. Maybe what kind of light there is, what kind of temperature is around you. Maybe notice what sounds you can tune into. Maybe my voice is only it, or maybe there's other sounds in the room as well. Anything else? Let's take another slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And on your exhale, close your eyes. Now, starting with your toes, scan your body from your toes upwards. Notice if there's a spot today, right now, that has your attention. Maybe your lower back. Maybe it's a hip, a shoulder, whatever's loud today. Let's focus on that and look at whatever feels uncomfortable for a second. Does the sensation you're feeling, does it have a clear border of where it starts and maybe where it ends, where it stops? How about a shape? What about a color? Maybe the sensation even has a texture to it. And it's okay if you can't answer any of these. We're just observing and looking at the sensation. And while we're sitting and observing and looking at the sensation, can we give it a name of what it feels like? Maybe tight, throbbing, warm. Pick a word. Let's label it. Say that word in your head. And let's breathe again. Big breath in through the nose. And on the exhale, imagine that leaf, that sensation is just floating on the river in front of you. That leaf is on the river, floating by. Don't chase it. Just stay on the side of that bank and lightly watch it float by for the next 20 seconds. Now, let's take a big deep breath in again, bringing your attention back to the room around you. The room that you're in, the sounds you hear. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Did you notice that feeling float by easily? Or did you want to jump in after it and it triggered a whole cascade of other thoughts and emotions? Whether that simple technique was easy or not, on a neuroscience level, each time you practice this specific technique, you are training your brain that it's actually okay to feel something without going with it, sounding off the alarm bells and feeling a threat. On a psychological and physiological level, each time you notice, name, and note, you are actually creating space between you and what you feel. No longer becoming consumed by sensation, but putting some much needed distance and space between you and the sensation. It's in this space that the brain learns. It can feel whatever it feels without needing to drag us with it. And in a very real sense, we make room for sensation. We allow it. And in its allowance, our response fundamentally and entirely changes. And when our response to pain changes, a change within the pain actually begins. Now, let's move on to technique number 2. It's called breathe and soften. This next piece builds on the first technique, but here's the shift. We're going to bring in your breath. There's been a lot of talk lately, a lot of buzzword and hype about breath work, and for really good reason. But let's strip away the hype and get practical. What is it actually doing? Why does it matter for pain? Breathing isn't just about oxygen. It is a direct line into your nervous system. When you breathe in a calm, intentional rhythm, you're sending your body a message. We are safe. Think about it. If you've ever been chased, or if you're panicking, if you're ever under threat, your breath is very fast and shallow. You don't stop mid-sprint to take a slow, steady inhale. That kind of breathing only happens when the system knows it's safe and okay to do so. So when you choose to slow your breath on purpose, like I'm going to show you, it's like flipping a switch inside of your physiology and your chemistry, and you're telling your nervous system, we are not in danger right now. We can soften, we can let go, which then has a profound cascading impact on your psychology and physiology. And that's why this practice matters. Not only does oxygen help relax tissues and calm overactive nerves, breathing in this way that I'm going to show you immediately changes the story your body is telling itself. Because for many people, pain often feels fixed, permanent, heavy, and rigid, like it's something that's carved into you. But when you begin to pair sensation with breath, you introduce fluidity. You bring movement, your breath, into something that feels rigid, your body in pain. And every time you choose to do this, you show your nervous system what felt locked and threatening can actually shift, even just a little bit. So let's try this together. Again, I want you to, just like we did with the last technique, soften your gaze or close your eyes if it's not too much trouble. And let's bring our attention back to that spot again that you were focusing on earlier. I want you to take a really slow inhale, as if you could gently send your breath into that space. And as you exhale, imagine that sensation softening, like butter melting in a pan. Not forcing the sensation to go away, just inviting it to release. Now, we are going to calmly inhale for 4 seconds and exhale slowly for 6 seconds for 2 minutes straight. I'm going to set the pace. If you get dizzy or feel nauseous, please feel free to stop. Let's do this together for 2 minutes. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stay with me. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost done. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now take a big breath in through the nose. Hold it at top. Feel the chest and the lungs expand. And a nice, slow exhale. Now, take notice of what your internal world is like. Mentally, are you more relaxed? Emotionally, are you any more grounded? Physically, did that spot or area change even just 1%? This tool I just gave you isn't about forcing pain away. It's about giving your body a different option. So instead of bracing, gritting, and panicking your way through a flare-up in pain, breath becomes your built-in regulator. Each time you inhale slowly, it oxygenates your tissue. Each steady, longer exhale tells your nervous system, you can calm down now. And over time, after enough repetition, this rewires your story. A sensation no longer has to mean emergency. It can simply mean, I feel something, and I know I can breathe through it. All right, here's our last one, and it's one of my favorites. It's called zoom in and out. This is all about playing with your focus to shape up how your brain sees pain. Because sometimes we get so locked onto a sore spot, an area that's chronically hurting, like it's the only thing that matters. And it completely takes over. I've been there. After breaking my back and the 5 years of disability that followed it, I unknowingly trained my brain to hyperfixate on my back. Every movement, every twinge, every ache, it's like it became my whole story. And I would just sit there, zeroed in, thinking back pain, back pain, back pain, like it defined me, like there was nothing else going on in my life or body. Sound familiar? That's your brain getting stuck in a chronic pain loop, amplifying the signal because it's all you're noticing. Zoom in and zoom out, this technique I'm going to share with you begins to flip that. You start with your pain spot, say your hip. You zoom in close to that sensation mentally. You feel the edges of it, the size, where it starts, where it stops. You breathe slow while you do. Then you zoom out and you sense the space around it. Maybe the air temperature, your whole body, someplace different. Anything that's out there, anything else. Then you shift back and forth a couple times. And this actually tricks your brain into seeing the pain as just one piece, not the whole puzzle. It's like stepping back from a painting. You stop obsessing over one brushstroke and you see the bigger picture. And over time, this zoom in and zoom out technique can shrink the pain's power. I used to see this in my private practice a lot. I'd do an assessment of someone who was very out of balance, and all they felt was the one area that hurt. not the imbalances and the twisted state of their body. Or maybe I would ask someone who was in chronic pain to do something, and then I'd ask how they felt. I would always only hear of the one thing that hurt, not any of the other dozens of joints or hundreds of muscles that were working and felt good and doing their part. They didn't share how their twisted pelvis was now level and balanced, how their unlevel shoulders were better. And in that position, whatever position they were in, how they were much better. Again, hopefully you're still in that comfy position. Eyes closed if you want, or just soften your gaze. Like we've done in the past, take a big breath in and a long, slow breath out. And let's pick your spot. Maybe that knee, hip, back, or shoulder from earlier. Choose the same spot. And just like we did in the past, let's gently place attention on it. Let's zoom in on that sensation for 20 seconds. Notice the size of the sensation, the shape of it, how big or small it is, where it starts, where it ends. Now, let's zoom out for 20 seconds. Let's feel your whole body like another part, another area that maybe actually feels good. Maybe it's the pressure of your body on the chair or the ground. Maybe it's the air around you coming in and out of your nose. Maybe it's the quiet spots that have never once given you a problem. What else is going on in your body that actually feels kind of good? Now let's shift our attention and focus back in for 10 seconds. Zoom in close on where it is uncomfortable again. And when you're ready, let's now zoom out again. Maybe your lips feel good. Maybe your eyebrows have never hurt. Maybe it's an elbow that's never once given you a problem. And when you're ready, let's open your eyes again. Now, before we move on, let's pause for a second. If you noticed something shift just now, even if it's 1%, amazing. That's your nervous system getting the memo. But if you didn't notice much, or even if it felt harder, tighter, or more frustrating as we're placing focus, I cannot begin to express how normal that is. Your system has been practicing pain patterns for months, maybe years, maybe decades, which means it's deeply conditioned. It doesn't always relax on command, especially the first time you try it. So if today felt huge for you, subtle, or even like nothing happened at all of that's okay. The value here is in the reps, not in the instant results. Think of it like learning a language. The first time you hear new words, they don't really stick, but say them again and again, and suddenly you're making sense of things. Before fluency happens, practice and repetition must happen. Your nervous system works in the same way. Every time you practice noticing without panicking, you're teaching your nervous system a new language of safety. And sometimes the very first change isn't in the pain itself, it's in the way you respond to it. Maybe you caught yourself breathing instead of bracing. Maybe you didn't spiral as fast. Maybe you found a neutral spot in your body that you really forgot about or hadn't noticed before. That, my friends, is progress. So, whatever your experience was just now, relief, frustration, calm, or nothing at all, it counts. You showed up, you practice, and your brain is paying attention. Now, let's get real about something. You definitely didn't just erase years of pain in a few somatic tracking techniques. You did something braver. You stayed with sensation without spiraling today. That is the rep. That's the work. You just sent your brain a new message. This is a signal, not a sentence. And that's how rewiring begins. One rep at a time, one breath at a time, one technique at a time. Now, a quick note, what I just gave you were 3 introductory techniques, surface level, but powerful. Please feel free to use them daily. This is my gift to you. But if you feel like there's real merit in what we've done here, if something inside of you is saying, yes, I want to go deeper, this makes sense, then I would love to hold your hand and guide you further. Because here's the truth. These 3 techniques are just the start. They're the tip of the iceberg. What really changes the game is building scaffolding and a framework around them. I'm talking about a full system that rewires your nervous system at the same time you restore your body. That is exactly what my program is built for. The somatic tracking program goes hand in hand with the movement program. One teaches you how to downregulate, calm, and retrain your nervous system. The other one teaches you how to rebalance your body, restore movement, and reclaim strength. Together, they give you a new way forward. Psychology and physiology, not at war, but now working together. And remember what I said at the start of today's episode. Somatic tracking is where psychology and physiology shake hands. The better these two get along, the better your experience will be with your body. And the better your experience with your body, the better you experience your life, period. So here's your action plan for this week. Don't turn these tools into another job. Don't force yourself to do them every time you feel something. That only adds more pressure, and pressure is the exact opposite of what we're going for right now. Instead, pick one tool, the one that makes you feel most natural and easiest for you. Maybe it's notice, name, and note, technique 1. Maybe it's technique 2, breathe and soften. Or maybe it's technique 3, zoom in and out. Just choose one. And then once a day, when you actually have the bandwidth, try it. That could be at your desk or on a lunch break, driving in your car when traffic hits. Please keep your eyes open for that. Lying down before bed. You don't need a perfect setting. You just need a moment. Your job this week is to use these tools not every time pain shows up. Your job is to practice one of them once a day and in a way that feels approachable. And here's a second layer. Start noticing the moments when you slip into stress, even when you don't need to be there, right? Like writing an email, on the phone, on a phone call, driving to work when traffic hits. Those everyday situations where your breath shortens and your shoulders tense without any real actual threat going on. When you catch those moments, use your somatic tracking tool. Meet the tension with a signal of safety. A longer exhale, a softer breath, a gentle note. I'm safe right now. That's it. One tool, one practice, once a day. and with some gentle curiosity about where stress sneaks in. If you want more in-depth guidelines and a full system that walks you through this step by step, this is exactly what my program is for. And your first week is free. You can check it out anytime, links in the bio, or go to my website, painacademy.net. I would be honored to guide you deeper. And if you flare up or feel more sensitive and agitated after this, that's not failure. That's your nervous system testing the old alarm. And it's called an extinction burst, which I covered more in depth in episode 5. It's this loud bark from a pattern that's beginning to lose power. Meet it with breath, safety lines, and smaller doses tomorrow. Progress is messy. That's normal. Pain is not your whole story. It's just one paragraph. And you get to write the rest. I'm glad you're here. You're doing better than you think. Keep going. I'll see you in the next episode.